kick us off in a couple of seconds here. And again, just so excited to have you all. We are very familiar with Aretha. She is a part of TechSoup and has been for a while. And as far as Dr. Tiara and Dr. Denita, they're not strangers to TechSoup. So we're happy to have them back. So I'm going to pass it to Gerard to get us started and kick us off. So thank you,
All
everybody.
right. All right. All right. Well, good morning slash afternoon, folks. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. We've done sessions like this in the past, and we want to continue to do these as reminders of folks that are doing really meaningful work in the community and amplifying those voices accordingly. So I see Dr. Moore is with us again. We were so excited about some of the things you said previously. You just left an impression on us, and so we're glad to see you. Looking forward to hearing from some of you other folks as well. Dr. Denita, welcome. I know we haven't met before, but thank you for joining us as well. I think this is a testament to there's a lot of stuff happening in the world. I think you all hear there probably a lot of events for those who actually care about the things that are happening. Someone is reminding us that things are really weird these days, and we knew that it was going to get worse before it got better. I think the best thing that we can do is continue to not just remain optimistic, but allow folks to be able to connect, um, in this way, especially folks that look like us. So it's rare that I get to see my folks on a session, folks that look like me. I get to see Lashika and Kim and Aretha, and we get to connect. But appreciate you all for joining. Looking forward to the session today. I think I hit everything, Lashika, but appreciate y'all for joining us.
Thank you, Gerard. Just a note to folks just joining, and we have a slide up just explaining why this is important for us today. The month of October is Global Diversity Awareness Month. And at TechSoup, our mission, it's all about equity, creating an equitable planet for all. And as a part of that mission to create an equitable planet, we've also have a commitment around equity, inclusion, diversity, and culture, not just for our organization, but even across the sector. And so with that, our affinity group for Black voices here at TechSoup, it's called TechSoul, got together to bring these NGOs here today for our spotlight. So I'm going to pass it to Kim, who's one of my colleagues here at TechSoup, to get us started so that we can be introduced and get to know some of the NGOs that we're going to be spotlighting today. And thank you for everyone for joining us. Over to you, Kim.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm honored to introduce our panelists today. Our panelists include three incredible change makers in the industry representing different corners of the Black nonprofit experience. And I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves because the energy, I feel like you guys give and give an energy that just can't be missed. So we'll start off with Tiara with Black and Marine Science. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, yes. So are we doing just introductions right now, or do you want to do this? Are we doing the slides? Just let me know.
Introductions. Can you just tell us about your organization?
Yeah. So I am Dr. Tiara Moore. I am a marine ecologist. So I study the ocean, and I'm the founder and CEO of Black and Marine Science. And I'm currently actually zooming in from my home in Belize. So I'm hoping my connection stays strong out here as we are dealing with, different weather across the Caribbean. But Black and Marine Science is a nonprofit really that I founded in 2020 to celebrate the Black marine scientists. We are less than 2% in the field of marine science when you look specifically at the PhD level, but we are largely impacted when you look at things like climate change, huge hurricanes, nutrient pollution. And so I really wanted to create a space to be able to provide environmental awareness specifically to Black communities who are dealing with these environmental disasters and hazards, but of course also create a space to inspire that next generation of scientific thought leaders. So we have a strong K through 12 program as well. So I'll stop there. Thanks so much to TechSoup for the invitation.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiara. Next, we have Denita. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, the organization, please?
Absolutely. And it is awesome to be with you again. So thank you for having us. I want to keep that out there up front. My name is Dr. Denita Pimient, and I am so blessed to be the executive director, founder of CAAIRE. It stands for Children, Athletes, and Artists Involved in Recreational Events. It's a mouthful. That's why CAAIRE takes care of it all. And so what we do is we are an organization that knows that there's some opportunities for our young people where they are able to utilize their athletic abilities, their artistic talents, their social skills set. And we want to bring all of that together. And we do it underneath the umbrella of prevention. So our mission, of course, has to do with our young people graduating, going on and obtaining higher education and utilizing those skill sets to pour back into the community. And we operate on a platform of the old school isn't such a bad thing. And because of the fact that I was raised by my grandmothers, one of whom was born in 1904, the other who was born in 1918, the young people that we are surrounded by actually get a plethora of old school ideology, which helps them to be resilient young people. They have to utilize some of those skill sets that they didn't think they even had. And so we bring that about. And that is pretty much what we are engaging with our youth on. So hopefully that gives you just a little nutshell, and I'll go into that in a little bit further shortly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nita. And lastly, but not least, we have Aretha. Can you please tell us about your organization?
Yes, my name is Aretha Simon, and you guys probably see me if you come to TechSoup to the webinars. You probably see me often, doing the little housekeeping and getting you set up. But I am so honored that my colleague said, "No, Aretha, you need to be there." And it wasn't until yesterday I was going to change my mind. I said, "No, there's so many nonprofits I know. I need to spotlight them." So it wasn't until yesterday that I made up my mind. No, you need to do this because it's an honor when someone says, "Hey, we want to spotlight you." So I count it a privilege, and I thank you to my colleagues at TechSoup for asking me to do this. My nonprofit is the state of the nonprofit community. So Multiplying Talents that you see on the screen, that's actually my for-profit, but that's how I birthed my nonprofit. You'll hear more about that when I do my presentation, and I'll be dropping my link in the chat. All things go to arethasimons.com, so you'll hear more about that. And thank you again to my colleagues, Lashika, Kimberly, and Gerard for recognizing me today. Back to you, Kimberly.
Thank you, Aretha. And thank you all. Thank all of you for being here and taking the time to share your stories and tell us about what you're doing in the community. Which brings us to our next part of the event, presentations. So first, just so we can hear more about, let's start with Blacks in Marine Science. I'll start with your presentation here. Dr. Tiara. Oops, sorry. Here we go.
Hey, there I am. So they gave us 3 slides, which I love because I can go on and on about Black and marine science, as y'all can tell. I love the organization that we have been able to build. So I will give y'all the short version. So I talked a bit about the mission, but ultimately it's really just to equip our communities with the resources that they need, specifically when it comes to marine and ocean science. And our vision is really a future where marine science thrives through this innovation and inclusivity, where we can prepare for these disasters and hurricanes like Melissa, so our communities aren't always the impacted, always telling those horrible stories, even though they weren't the ones to contribute to climate change from the beginning. So really trying to talk about who's causing the damage, but also who's seeing the impact. So of course we are a nonprofit, we're a spotlight. As you can imagine, the name Black in Marine Science with the current administration has been quite challenging. So we have lost several large government grants. We had scientific grants to do work around the globe that were canceled in an email with no right to appeal. So of course I had to put up our donate link, but of course just go to bims.org to see more about what we're doing. And I'll talk about that more, but I just wanted to put that up there. This is a very trying time to be Black in marine science, and it just reminds me of why I founded the organization in 2020. And I'm grateful that we at least have this space now to be able to depend on during these times, because imagine if we were alone. At least we got a group chat now. At least we got plans. At least we have a global network, and that's what we're very excited about. So we can go over to the next slide. So how we keep things going, we have an amazing programs because one of the things that I highlight is that the lack of diversity in marine science. I have my PhD in marine science, but as you can imagine, like I said, we're less than 2% in the field. And when you look at the overall, again, impacts where Black folks live globally, largely by the water, where we see the impacts of huge hurricanes, of sea level rise, of nutrient pollution, is largely where Black folks are. And so we really want to create resources for more folks to get in the field, because as you can imagine, we don't always want to be statistics. We want to provide solutions. So we have 4 core programs where we're doing everything from teaching folks to swim, because I tell y'all to this day in 2025, I will introduce and I probably said this last time, TechSoup, but I'll still introduce myself. Hey, I'm Dr. Tiara Moore. I'm a marine scientist. And people say, oh, you can swim? I didn't know y'all got y'all hair wet. Ooh, y'all want to fight. So, but that is a stereotype, and we do see the statistic of Black kids 5 times more likely to drown. So instead of just excluding them, why not create a swim program? So through our program, we've taught about 40 kids to swim, actually here in Belize. Through our BIMS Immersion program, which is our scuba dive program, we have certified 54 Black scuba divers. You see, this is our Juneteenth dive that's pictured there, where again, this is a skill that you need to do marine science work, looking at coral reefs, understanding what's going on in biodiversity, but it costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get this certification. So we take that on and offer that free of charge to our members. Our last 2 programs, Tidal Wave is our scientific travel program, where we actually fund and support our scientists to go to conferences. Hopefully I'm not, or I might need to turn my video off. Sorry, y'all. We fund our scientists to go to conferences because there is a huge barrier with conferences and being able to travel and being able to afford. Sometimes you go to these conferences, they want you to pay for the registration, then you got to go get the hotel, then you got to get the flight. Oh, and then you got to eat. And God forbid, if you want a keychain to say that you was there, there's no more funds. And so what we see with a lot of these diversity scholarships, they pay for the registration, they pay for your hotel. There's no food for you to eat. You just got to figure it out. So we take all of those barriers away from our participants in our program and cover everything, and even give them a little spinach change so they can get a souvenir. Through BIMS TV, we have a thriving YouTube channel. So I put our subscribe there. We have now over 300 videos of Black marine scientists across the globe talking about what is the ocean. Because again, the whole goal is to make the ocean accessible. Some people never see the ocean, but ultimately need to understand it's the reason why we're breathing right now, because of the biological processes that are going on at the surface of the ocean. Everybody always talking about the trees, but honestly, the ocean produces more than 50% of the oxygen that you and I are both breathing. Why aren't we talking about it? Right? So we are talking about it at BIMS TV. If you want to know why it's blue, why it's salty, go ahead and subscribe now. lastly, I'm supposed to end with what I'm most excited about. And how could I not be more excited? But at Black and Marine Science, this should be the last slide. I don't know if it changed on y'all's, but it's still on mine. Should be one more. Okay, yeah. So what am I most excited about is the BIMS Institute. So I talked about a lot about professional development, workforce development, taking care of our current Black marine scientists, making sure they have a safe space, making sure that our next generation is coming up, but also we're scientists. We have a whole network of over 700 members across 35 countries who largely, a lot of them have PhDs. A lot of them are doing top-notch work. So through the BIMS Institute, we really focus in the actual science, technology, and innovation. So last year, we released the first ever scientific publication to feature all Black first authors. So that was a requirement that I worked with the journal. I didn't even care. I was like, hey, this needs to happen because our work isn't getting published. And when it is published, it's largely not amplified because the other scientists had more funding. And so they got more promo. So we had a whole issue dedicated to us. You can Google it. And then this is a side, hopefully I'm not taking too long, but when they asked us to design the cover, they was like, oh, could y'all put y'all favorite marine science animal on the front? And I was like, oh, baby, y'all are about to get Black essence. We're about to put our faces on this. So I had my team design this, and this is all of the authors who are featured in that journal. These are marine scientists, leaders in this field, and I wanted for them to be represented in case no one ever read it. I wanted y'all to see we existed. Secondly, science communication. Earlier this year, we released a documentary called Harm in the Water. It's my background. And this is our goal to really get what's going on within the Mississippi River with nutrient pollution, corporations in large agriculture leading to large fertilizers being put in the Mississippi, leading to huge catastrophic and environmental disasters, largely down in New Orleans, down in the Gulf of Mexico. Y'all may have heard of Cancer Alley. And so we really went and took a scientific approach to this storytelling. And we released this documentary, and I can excitedly say it got the Best Documentary Award when we premiered it at the Essence Fest in New Orleans this year. So again, trying to say, hey, how do we take our scientific perspectives of the research we're doing, but take it and make marine science for the streets, give it to the people who are impacted with what we're doing so they have an understanding. And then lastly, as I close out, this is the thing that's most exciting me right now is our technology and us trying to create a platform that takes all the things that we're doing as scientists and connects it to the community members that need it, and they can have a platform to be able to ask it questions. Because I spend a lot in the lab learning about all these big things, and what the people who actually need it don't ever get access to it because it's behind paywalls, it's behind barriers. So what if we had a platform where they can talk to me as a scientist? Why is it flooding? Why is Hurricane Melissa here getting us again when we ain't had nothing to do with this? How can we prepare? So imagine having a platform centered around justice and equity built to really protect the people we claim we want to protect. So yeah, that's how we're doing it, Black and Marine Science. Hopefully you will join us, ride the wave, and I'm so excited to answer any other questions y'all have today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Dr. Tiara Moore. If you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. I think I forgot to mention that. But yes, please put those in the chat, and we will try to have a Q&A at the end of everyone's presentation. Next we have Dr. Denita, I'm so sorry. Pimenta.
That is okay. Don't worry about it at all. I always say sometimes I'd stumble over my name if I didn't have to practice it so much, but so I get it. Anyway, I'm Dr. Denita Pimient. So thrilled again to be here. We are just going to share a little bit about who we are, what we do, and hope that it excites you enough to kind of sort of join us on this journey of helping young people. We primarily target students who are in 3rd to 12th grade. So there's elementary, middle, and high school opportunities that are available for young people. And we work with them hands-on. In fact, we go into the classroom, we take over, we do a whole host of things. And so I'm going to speak to that in just a second. Our organizational mission, of course, is just that bottom part of removing barriers that limit success. That is so important for us. We pride ourselves on making sure that most things don't cost anything for students and parents to participate with us. So let me just share a little bit about our programs. And if we move to the next slide, we'll be able to kind of sort of address those. Our programs are, in fact, built on just the ability for young people to succeed. That is pretty much what we are looking for. So anything that helps with regard to resiliency, anything that does critical thinking skill sets, those activities, we like to make sure that young people know that they can use their own internal fortitude and be able to bring success for whatever that looks like for them. So when we start out, we think whole child in terms of approach, and we talk about youth and their fitness and their well-being and wellness as a whole. And so our Youth Fit program is where we have sports clinics, basketball, football, whatever the sport, do some cheer camps in there, but we provide free health assessments for the community. And it's where the young people are able to get their EKGs as well. We can stave off a lot of health issues if we just know some of the things in the forefront that young people might be battling. And so we take that as a component of the totality of sports physicals and vision screening, hearing, all of that. We provide it to the young people and for the family. And it's a wonderful opportunity for them to not have to worry about the financial barriers that keep people away from even getting basic medical assistance. So that's a fun way to make sure that wellness is incorporated in there. And then we talk about personal development. And personal development for us, and it's on a basis of arts. We love that. We can showcase our young people's ability to lead and showcase their character and all of those elements there with regard to life skills that are enrichment for young people. So when we go into the classroom or we're in a community center, we're allowing young people to do all things that are expressive for them. And they come up with some very creative things there. I should tell you, it really is fascinating to see what kind of goes on in young people's minds when it comes to the arts. And we incorporate the arts with STEM, so that's why we have a STEAM program. Our STEAM program is where we have the wonderful ability to take STEM on the road. So we set up a city-like environment for young people and their families in the community. We do STEAM events, school workshops. We go to after school, working with, it doesn't matter if it's the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, wherever, we definitely go and take it on the road. And what we're learning is, of course, with regard to STEM specifically, it gives that higher level thinking ability for young people. And that's so necessary because by being able to critically think, problem solve, shows resiliency, shows that you can come back from any challenges that are there. And it helps young people when they are able to face challenges, they're able to overcome them. So all of that incorporated is definitely wonderful. So I'm on board when Dr. Tiara talks about the whole component when it comes to science, and whether it's water or what have you. We definitely look at that. And we also talk about engineering as well, because that's a substantive component. Finally, when we look at the overall thought processes for young people, we want them to make smart choices. And our Smart Choices program is one of the things that we are so proud of. I'll just share with you that years ago, Choices was part of Choices Education Group, and it was around for about 40 years. And they had served millions of students and had gone and made sure that it was a national program. Well, shortly, within the last couple of years or so, we were just in talks about some of the things that could be able to help young people get elevated, and how we could move forward and allow this program to be able to be seen by even more students. So currently we're at over 6.9 million students that have been served nationwide with choices. And we talk about fiscal literacy, dropout prevention, definitely how to bounce back, be resilient, but it's for middle school and high school students. They're shown real world scenarios that they have to problem solve with, and then they make the smart choice, hopefully, to overcome those barriers, go on and obtain higher education. So with all of that, that is the totality of some of the programs that we encounter in our organization. And so I love sharing that component with you. And then lastly, just at the end, it's how can you stay in contact with us on the next slide. It shows that it's all about making sure that we have involvement. And it's not just about your dollars. And while we are in the state of Florida, where you can't operate underneath the, and we're in the same boat as Dr. Tiara, we understand. DEI isn't always the thing that you can talk about all the time, but we definitely spread the wealth with regard to how we serve our young people. And because of that, we know that our programming, our mission, the elements of who we are and what we do are important. And that's across the board where we serve all young people. And so we round everybody up and provide them with opportunities. And so for us, your involvement would be partnering with us to ensure that we can continue on serving these young people and continue on making sure that there's a financial impact to the costs that are eliminated by parents not having to cover any of the medical assessments. And of course, the wonderful nature of working with young people and just seeing them thrive in this community. So hopefully you can assist us with making sure that some of these generational barriers that young people encounter are overcome, and maybe even just one like or share to spread the word might be that one thing that helps all of us together be able to make productive young people even more excellent than what they already are. So I look forward to answering any of your questions in reference to CAAIRE, and I do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Denita Pimient. If you have any questions for Dr. Denita, please put those in the chat and we will make sure your questions are answered. Our last presentation is from Miss Aretha Simon.
Yeah, go back a couple. That's the last
one. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm gonna mix this up a little bit. Put in the chat, what's the largest grant you've ever written, or the amount you've received? 1,000, 500. If you haven't ever received a grant, put that in the chat as well. I kind of want to know, because this is going to help me go in the direction I need to go in. But as Kim said, my name is Aretha Simons. You guys may have seen me when you come to any tech. Yes, 40,000. That's what I'm talking about. I like that. That's good. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going for the next one. So my nonprofit is called the State of the Nonprofit Community. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey and how it began. I started multiplying talents after I launched my own nonprofit in 1999. I was in the U.S. Navy. Yes, I'm a retired Navy veteran. But while I was serving, I also had the heart to serve the community. So I quickly started a nonprofit. It was called Able Community Kitchen School, where we would take food that was donated to us from the food bank and other organizations, and we used a small kitchen of a nonprofit, prepared the food, and then we took the food out and fed the homeless. So that's what I did after work. I'm like all of you. You probably have jobs, other things you do, and yet you still are creative and want to find ways to serve the community. But while I was doing that, so many people kept coming up to me and saying, hey, who started your nonprofit? Who did your 501c3? Who wrote this grant for you? And I was like, I did, because in my mind, I thought it was easy. So in 2003, I started doing workshops, teaching people how to write their own grants to apply for 501c3 status. And before you know it, I started calculating the time I would spend and the money I would spend on my own. So I said, you know what, I need to turn this into a for-profit instead of a nonprofit, because you guys know that whatever flows through the nonprofit, it belongs to the nonprofit. So I quickly had to turn that into a for-profit. So I started charging a small fee and doing workshops and seminars. But you know what I kept hearing? I kept hearing from all the people that I would meet, okay, we got our nonprofit. We're happy we got the nonprofit status. Now what? Even those who had been in existence for a couple of years, they're like, now what do? I need this. I need board members. I need help with more funding. And so I quickly realized, you know what? People need more education. And so by that time, I had probably done, I don't know, hundreds of 501c3s. And then I got invited to be on TD Jake's stage. I did workshops at his International Pastors and Leaders for over 10,000 people, 4 years in a row. What an incredible experience. Then I said, you know what, this got to be a better way to help people. So that's when I started State of the Nonprofit Community. And our mission is simple: to strengthen those who strengthen our communities. And if you go to the next slide, this is some of the work I've done. It's just a few. And this is the thing I'm most excited about. I kept this simple. I'm excited about equipping people with the education, then celebrating them when I do my workshops and webinars. Now we're doing webinars. Before, it was a lot of in-person. My first one was 100 people, and it was incredible. But what I do is give micro grants from the State of the Nonprofit Community to now like we're hosting events online. We're just connecting nonprofits with resources that will help them multiply their impact in the community. And this is just a few of the people that we have given grants to. Now we just go and surprise people. I'm just gonna highlight a few of those. Do you see the girl with the crown? And you see the State of Nonprofit. This lady had just won a pageant competition, and she came to the event. And believe it or not, she wasn't expecting to win. When she won that $1,000, she cried. But can I tell you something? You're gonna be so surprised, because I see what you put in the section. She was the only one that applied for the grant. To this day, she doesn't know that. And when she sees this, she's probably gonna be shocked. But she was the only one that applied for the grant. And so I'm telling you that because I want you guys to not be afraid and go after that grant, go after the money, build the relationships with people, and don't ever think that they're gonna, deny you. And if they do, then you find out why. But continue to build those relationships, because I love seeing in this chat 40,000, 10,000, 25,000, 10,000, $1 million, $2 million, 20,000. That's incredible, you guys. You guys are putting in the work. So another $1,000 might help you too. But I'm gonna just highlight a few more people. Here in the middle with me in the yellow, you see my little big hair. At that time, this girl had started a nonprofit in honor of her grandmother, and all of these nonprofits are still doing the work. I'm gonna move down to the lady standing by the glass door. She's in her 70s. Jean would take the workshops that we were doing. Now Jean has gotten, I don't know, millions of dollars. She's in her 70s, guys. She's putting in the work. And if you see that letter says GWS, that stands for Grant Writing School, because like you guys, I'm creative, so I have all different types of things I create. But now everything is going to Aretha Simon. So I'm going to drop the website in the chat. If you go to the next slide, this is how you would contact me, because I do want to get to know you guys. You never know when I'm going to surprise you. Oh, no, Kim, back up. I got to highlight one more. You see the girl in the green shirt. She had no idea, but I showed up at her camp and surprised her with $1,000. And that lady is here today being featured on TechSoup. That's Dr. Denita. Y'all give it up for Dr. Denita. I am so happy for you, and I'm so proud of you and Dr. Tiara for what you're doing in the community, guys. Keep up the great work. You go to the next slide. This is how you contact me. I would love to have all of you featured on the next State of the Nonprofit Community webinar that we do, because, and I don't want you to focus on just your nonprofit. I want you to focus on those entrepreneurial skills. I want to leave something with you. You guys start using AI. If you're not using AI, don't be afraid of it. Use AI and also become an entrepreneur. I'm sure you don't realize, if you don't realize, I won't say you won't realize it, you're an entrepreneur as your nonprofit, but get those other skills using those AI tools and start creating other streams of income. I'm going to turn this over to my colleague. Again, I am so grateful that you guys allowed me this opportunity to share. And thank you so much, guys. Over to you, Kim.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you to all our panelists, for sure. Thank you for taking the time out and for your presentations. And now I want to open questions to the audience. And this is an event where we are all trying to connect as nonprofits. So if you have any questions, comments, anything, just please put them in the chat. It's open discussion.
Yeah, and you can feel free to unmute yourself too. I
Yes.
got my webinar producer hat on now. Feel free to unmute yourself. Kim, you can take that down. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions that any of us. We're here for you. Anything. It doesn't even have to be about nonprofits.
I'll kick us off, if you don't mind. I have a question for each one of our guests today, actually. So starting with Dr. Tiara, I really always excited to have you with us. Love your energy and love the work that you are doing. My question for you is what is I guess the biggest myth that that you see right now in terms of not just marine and being in ecology, but just about water? I know you did mention a couple of things about Black people and swimming, right? That I really appreciate you mentioning that. But are there other misconceptions or myths that you'd like to bring to our attention as it relates to the work that you're doing?
Yeah, no, thanks so much for the question, because I think that is a part of the science communication that we try to do through the organization. And one of the highlights that we did in the documentary was talking to the people, actually talking to the people who are being impacted. We were in New Orleans and Cancer Alley, like people are saying, like, my grandpa has cancer, my grandma died from cancer, all these people in their family have died from this thing. So they understand this impact. Right. And then so when you start asking more questions as a scientist, okay, well, what changed in the environment? Oh, well, we saw the increase in corporate plants. We saw the increase in these large buildings. We saw the increase in carbon dioxide production. We saw the increase in nutrient pollution from the Mississippi River, largely because of large agricultural practices happening in Iowa. So, they might not necessarily know, okay, that's eutrophication, that's environmental race, that's all these things, but they understand the impacts. And I think largely for a large amount of time, there was this misconception that those communities didn't care. Like, okay, we're going to go build our plant there. They don't care anyway. We offer them a job, go into the school, say we educate the kids, put them in our little workforce development program so they can work into our plant, with ever really highlighting the health impacts and the environmental hazards that they also knew were happening at the same time. And so we're really trying to demystify that these things are happening and it's well known, but they're also been strategically targeted to specific communities and they're Black, period. Just that's it. So I think that's what I like to be very clear in the name of the organization and the work that we're doing. And then even having conversations with people who say they don't disagree. We can pull out the maps, we can pull out the data. And I think also something I'll highlight is you see it's very strategic when we see data taking down from public websites. And that's what we're currently seeing now with the current things that are happening. So data that is proven what I've said is now no longer accessible. So again, why I'm excited about creating platforms like Ocean Just AI, where we have the data, because we're the scientists who made the data from the beginning. So we have it, but we also have access to the community who are impacted, and they're also data. And so how do we merge those and make informed decisions utilizing tools like AI, utilizing ground truth, and utilizing workshops like these? So yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you've already done it, but if you can please put the website in the chat and any other information that you'd like to share with us today, that'd be really helpful. For you, Dr. Denita, you mentioned something, and I just want to make sure that everyone is clear and understand when you talk about STEAM, a STEAM program. So can you break down what that is for those of us who aren't familiar with that and explain why that is important, especially now?
It is a great question. Thank you for allowing me to clarify. STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And we have I study education, and because education is so critical, it's the higher level thinking skill set that comes when there is a correlation with STEM. So young people who are engaged in activities that have anything to do with science or technology or engineering, math, especially math. You throw some music in there. You get your arts, your drawing, or whatever the case with regard to creativity. That combination is what allows young people to elevate themselves to levels that they wouldn't typically do. And so when we get involved with STEM, we start with students that are in third grade. It used to be that you started STEM, like, you're in like high school before kids were even talking about it, because they always correlated it with, oh, you can go into STEM and it'll be just a career. And typically the career had to do with engineering. But as you can see with Dr. Moore, there's a whole host of careers that are applicable in using STEM as a basis of it. And also, we talk to young people because as an alternative to just the sports side of things. When we go into classrooms and we're dealing with middle school students and we say, well, hey, what are you going to be when you grow up? You can just well imagine that there is a high percentage that says that they want to play ball. And that is wonderful. I want you to play ball because Miss Denita is not a dream killer. I also want you to think strategically. Think strategically. Use your critical thinking skill set. And just imagine that ball may not be for you. Okay, whatever that is. Statistically speaking, we could go into the numbers of it. There's your math, but we want young people to have an alternative. And when we talk about STEM and just the teachings that are there, we can really allow young people to know that there are other avenues for their ability to really impact their lives, notwithstanding the fact of what happens when you take those same skill sets and you are back in your community. You pour into the community in ways that haven't been even thought of. We have young people that are at the colleges because we do a number of the internships, and when those interns are coming in and they graduate and then they stay in the community and then they're right there pouring into the students. It's just a cyclical opportunity for all involved. So I'm very passionate about the work that's done in STEM because I want our babies to think a little bit more than just what's right in front of them. And STEM allows them to do that, to build, to mold, to create. So I love it. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. My last question for Aretha is you talked a little bit at the end about encouraging us to leverage artificial intelligence. And I'm really curious to hear from you. What are the top 2 to 3 ways that you recommend nonprofits start leveraging AI?
Awesome. That's a great question. And I just had a one-on-one with a nonprofit last night, and you would be surprised that the questions that you have to take 90 seconds to keep thinking about, you need to be asking AI. You know what? She said, well, how can I find more board members? Go into ChatGPT and ask AI. So everybody should be using AI for helping you write your grants, helping you write your annual reports. There's so many things that you can use AI for. And when you're making content for social media, now you can create your AI clone, and you don't have to be on, you have to worry about putting on the makeup, the lipstick for the ladies. You can use your clone to do that. So also, AI is going to help you learn a skill that can create more income, not just for your nonprofit, but for you as an individual. Because once you learn it, there's other nonprofits who say, how did you do that? You know, like I told you my story, other nonprofits were asking me, how did you do it? And if you learn AI, then I'm telling you, you're going to be able to say, you decide when you eat. I hope that was clear. I hope I answered your question, Lashika.
You know, you did. I really appreciate that. And I think that there's a question in the chat that I'll read, and I'd be curious to hear your perspective on this answer, just again, thinking about AI. But Melissa Lyon is asking, how can nonprofits continue advancing the goals of DEI while reframing the language to align with evolving community, stakeholder, and funder perspectives?
For me, you said the right question, and that is reframing. So if some of your grants say this is not for DEI, you have to reframe how you speak the language. So it's the same thing as finding a grant that wasn't exactly a match, but you can kind of squeeze in there by changing some of the words. That's what you have to do with your grants. I mean, but you don't want to do nothing that doesn't align with your mission, but it's reframing what you say and how you use your words in your grants. Just like faith-based organization, they may be a faith-based organization, but and the grant say it's not for religious orgs. They change the language to say that, you know, it's for, I'm gonna give you an example. That there's a nonprofit that has a housing program. The one I talked to last night, New Life, is a transition program for women that get out of prison. She doesn't mention anything about faith. So in your program that mention you can't mention DEI, just don't mention DEI. Doesn't mean you can't do it, and doesn't mean when she gets the grant she can't continue teaching them about faith. I hope that helps you.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I see Dr. Tiara nodding her head. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I have a lot of different thoughts on this because I mean, as you can imagine, we have been, you know, just struggling with this largely because I mean the name of our organization is a target word, right? Like black, having being called Black in marine science has caused partners to reach out, be like, hey, we need to remove y'all from the website. We can't, you know, so really dealing with that. And for me, the challenge becomes is that I can't delete my black skin off nobody's website. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I have to then stand 10 toes down into what we are actually doing and figure out ways to pivot. And I love Aretha's point is that we don't have to say everything out loud. I think there was a time when we could, you know, we Black from the rooftops, we were working for Black people. But one of my strategic advisors said to me that, and again, I'll be very frank, and I think y'all know this is who I am, that organizations who work in predominantly white communities aren't putting that in their grants. Like they are writing grants that say we work in predominantly white communities, you know, like they're just not saying that. That's something that was almost like a requirement to get these DEI grants, and it's almost like it's now been a setup for it was asked, what communities are you working in so you can get this specific set of money. And then now we see that that's really been targeted and used against us, where the money didn't necessarily go anywhere. It's been moved and put into different buckets, but the people who still get the money and the folks who even tapped into the DEI money at the time still aren't as bad off as the organizations who were solely dependent on DEI money, right? We see in organizations can't fund it all, don't have any plan, there's no contingency, they're done, their grants were canceled. Whereas the other folks who were just dipping toes into DEI had all this other money that they were just going to be able to bounce right back. And so that's what we're really seeing. And so I'm saying that to say that we have to be able to have those diversified funding mechanisms and streams as well. And I think we really have to look into our people. And so for Melissa specifically, you have to talk to like, who are you working for? Because again, if I go to my 700 members and say, hey, y'all, we're not doing DEI anymore. Like, well, girl, what is you doing? Like, what is Black and Marine Science doing? And so then if we're on the same page that this is needed, then the question becomes, okay, how do we fund this? We've lost money. We need to figure out how do we get it back? Can y'all donate? Hell, can y'all watch BIMS TV all day so YouTube can start monetizing us? Can y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like really trying to be strategic of how we get different forms of income so we aren't dependent on the folks who discard us when they get the opportunity. So I would say really having that core community, and then that's how the movement keeps going. Even though we lost grants, the streets can't really tell because our members have really been rooting for us and talking about BIMS and saying all these things. And we have projects that was just waiting for this moment to say, hey, we actually got some stuff to boost out, like our documentary that was just perfectly planned because we did use the funds in the right way. And that's also another misconception, that we were just out stealing money and it was wasteful when we were actually making projects, but we didn't have the same time scale that a lot of organizations get to even make any impact like we did, you know? So there's that as well. So I think those are the things I wanted to highlight.
I really appreciate that. I see a couple of hands. Aretha, do you mind if I get Mr. Harris' question, or did you want to say something about what Dr. Tiara just said?
Yeah, let our guests be first, please.
Okay. Mr. Harris, the floor is yours. You have a question?
Yes, thank you. Great presentations. My question is for Dr. Denita. Let's talk about another word. Um, you have the word artist in the name of your organization. What is that targeted to? Because our organization, we work with music, music artists and musicians and so forth. So if someone were to come to your organization, are you looking for somebody doing painting, doing drawing, and so forth? We know that athletes, they deal with sports, but artists is a wide topic word. Can you expound on that?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So artists for us are the painting, drawing, sculpting, those types of arts, the musical components as well. It isn't primary for us in as much as we would love it to be. We'd certainly like to grow that portion out, but definitely with the creative side of the painting, drawing, sculpting, that's where we we've been. If you have ideas, we're open to listening. So please, let's connect. I put my information in the chat as well as my Popple, so you just download it on your phone and we can stay connected. But it is it's those components that we're definitely at.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the question. Back to you, Aretha.
Okay, I wanted to piggyback on what Dr. Tiara said, and then the question about, reframing things. I'm not giving legal advice, but just so you know, I've done 501c3s and helped nonprofits start since 1999. So I do have experience, lots of experience. So I recommend what I do for a lot of my churches. Like churches can't get certain grants, and some of them set up a separate nonprofit, not 501c3. It's a DBA. So if a church has, say the name is Christian Family Church, but then they set up a daycare or a school called Community School of Excellence. The funds flow through Community School of Excellence. They can even apply for a grant. So that funder is giving the check to the Community School of Excellence. A nonprofit can give money to another nonprofit. So it's like they're partners. So that may be a way to reframe, if you will, having a DBA, and even for you, Dr. Tiara, having a DBA. So people who say, no, we don't want to give to you because you're Black, we got to take the name down. But then we set up that DBA and put that DBA name up there on our website. And I see you not, and I'll let you go.
Oh yeah, no, that type of, those are the things that we are really looking at strategically as an organization. But listen, I'll be clear for BIMS, and I just was making a YouTube video about this. US is one country, right? And BIMS is now in 35. And I just need to be very clear. And I think that for me, we're now in 35 countries. I don't know if you heard me say 35. And so that for me has really been what has been the force driving our global expansion. You know, we started off just because, again, being called Black and Marine Science, of course we were going to get people outside of the US, but we didn't really realize how much of a strategic impact we could make. But then, of course, when you look at it, where the ocean is, where the folks are, it's largely outside of the US. And so that's why I've been hunkered down here in Belize, expanding our operations and ultimately registering our organization as an official organization here. So I want to definitely start with that. So those are things that we can do as nonprofit, but also as entrepreneurs to expand globally. There are people who want us to do the work, who need us to do the work, and we can't have just because one is saying no right now. So, okay, well, fine. You can experience climate change over here by yourself, but over here where folks are drowning, we're going to go teach them how to swim. And that's fine. Like we can do that. And then that opens you up to a whole different set of money. There's international fundings, international grants of people who are actually doing this work and actually picking up the slack right now because of what's going on in the US. I had raised my hand though, because I wanted to respond directly with Henry, Mr. Harris, because you made a point. You actually reminded me of something that was done as like a collaboration as well as a fundraiser with a sister organization called Azul. And they are basically Latinos in marine science. And they work with a bunch of Latina and Latin American artists to create a song, and I think it's called like El Mar, like, you know, about the sea, and it's talking about the things that are going on in the ocean and why they should protect it, and it's all in Spanish, and it is like a really great production. And I think, you know, through whatever streaming packaging or services, you know, they were able to get funds off of it. So I think those types of innovative collaborations are how we are going to sustain in this movement. You know, I had my team looking into Megan Thee Stallion because she had hosted the Hot Girl Cleanup, you know. So I was like, ooh, we have cleanups all the time, you know, like, can we do a partner cleanup, you know? Because I mean, that is the type of folks who have the following, who have the people who cleans it. And now all these people know about Black and Marine Science because we've now done a cleanup. So now imagine we work with you and your artists to make this song about the ocean and why it impacts us, specifically us, the most, and why we should care. Then that's how we get global reach and global education on an issue that not a lot of folks may know about. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'll slide in your, I think I put my email. So definitely let me know your thoughts, because like I think those are the things we're talking about. Like we need communication at every level. Like people are buying out stations and social media, and that's strategic as well. So like, how do we do things?
I want to say, Dr. Tiara, I would love to hear, or if you haven't done this, create an album about your nonprofit and what you do with AI. People will listen to music before they support you, and when they hear the music, they then support you. Because I got a book with a crazy title and a cartoon, but when people hear my book, yeah, I'm gonna buy your. When they hear my music, yeah, I'm gonna buy your book. So just something to think about. Over to you, Lashika.
This has been really, really great discussion. I hope that you, Dr. Denita, and Dr. Tiara and Aretha, I hope you both have, all three of you, I'm sorry, have put your information in chat in case people want to reach out to learn more, volunteer, donate, just connect. I think that would be really great. So if you haven't, please go ahead and do so. And for everybody who joined, and to my colleagues, thank you, Kim, thank you, Gerard. I really appreciate when we're able to do this. And really appreciate our panelists again, really appreciate your time, your honesty, the insight, and the impact that you are making. So again, we encourage everyone to stay in contact or follow these extraordinary nonprofits and these leaders so you can learn more about their organizations. And so on behalf of TechSoul, the affinity group here at TechSoup that facilitated this webinar, and also on behalf of TechSoup, we thank you so very much for joining us today and being a part of this conversation. And let's keep amplifying the impact together. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day, rest of your week, and we look forward to connecting really soon. So thank you, everyone.